Hey guys, how's it going? Twigs here. So I was watching this video off stream, just kind of chilling, grinding out this event on Star Rail, and it kind of caught like, yeah, I was interested in the video, but it really caught my interest. It made me actually want to respond to it. So Tectone is reacting to this dude called LegionzGaming, I believe, Legions, and he seems like an alright guy, and they're discussing power creep in Honkai Star Rail and talking about how Firefly's pretty much come to the game and has really blown up the meta. And why is that? Well, because Super Break is fucking powerful. If you just slap Firefly with Harmony MC and then throw in a little bit of Ruan May and then hell, throw Gallagher in there too, you got yourself an OP ass team. And there's no brainer to it. Firefly is really powerful, and I have been very impressed with what she brings to the table as a character in Honkai Star Rail. That, I just want to get that out of the way. Yes, Firefly is that damn good. But they're going over this discussion about is this a problem with the meta? And I want to just kind of play the video for a bit and then I'll respond.
It kind of sucks. It's a shame, but it really is getting to that issue where have this character for this game mode or you lose.
Have this character for this game mode or you lose. I'm assuming he's talking about the new game mode.
Yep.
Which I cleared without using Firefly, by the way.
Yeah, he's talking about the new game mode called Apocalyptic Shadow, which is kind of like it's pretty much a boss rush game mode where you just take out the boss as fast as you possibly can.
Because my Firefly was not built.
And I'm going to guess that that was not on your free-to-play account.
I did not have relics for her. I used Acheron.
And I'm going to assume you're on your whale account.
I used Acheron on that, I forgot what the fucking new game mode's called. I autoed all of it. Like, so it is very doable for his account if I was able to auto it. I am not a whale by any means.
And the thing is, when it comes to Legions, earlier in the video, he was talking about how he pulled for Firefly and he ended up spending roughly $500, even though he wants to kind of refer to himself as kind of a light spender account. And trust me, this is coming from someone who is a light spender. I am 100% the definition of a light spender account. I only have one event banner character with one Eidolon, and that is Luocha. All my other characters are, all my 5-star event characters, that is, are E0. And there have been characters that I have skipped. So, trust me, as a light spender account, I have never spent more than $100 on a character. So, no. You do not get to call yourself spending $500 and call yourself like a light spender, like not even a well, to get E2 on a character. And that E1 that I got on Luocha was on a rerun banner. It wasn't even on Luocha's initial banner.
Do I log in and play the game every day? Yes. Do I max refresh? No, I do not. I think I did that for like a week or two when the game first came out, and ever since.
And does anybody have footage of him clearing this? I know he said he's not a whale, but casually drops $500.
Exactly.
Let's see if we can find this. Let's go see his clear. Now, once again, I'm not saying it's impossible to clear, but I'm saying it's a lot harder for free-to-play casual players to do so without the newer characters. Hopefully that makes sense. I really feel like it really isn't that deep. Did he not just say he wasn't using Firefly? Nobody's complaining about this side. We're talking about the Argenti side. And then you're using two completely perfect teams with everything min-maxed?
So, as we are seeing here, if everything is mid-maxed, if he is using a perfectly built Acheron, Kafka, Black Swan, and Huahua. Yeah, this is the team that I used, except Huahua. Instead of Huahua, I used Aventurine. And yeah, that first boss, Kokoli, is pretty easy.
With a fucking Hua Black Swan Kafka Acheron? Who wouldn't be able to clear this with perfect team? Didn't you also just say you don't have Kafka?
Then
So let me get this right. Because you autoed it with perfect characters, you said you don't have Firefly when you in fact do have Firefly. Like, let's just keep it a buck. That's just a blatant fucking lie.
He said he does have Firefly, but he said he didn't build Firefly.
So what are we even talking about? Like, you have perfect Ruan Mei with...
And, alright, I see what he's saying now, because now he's got Firefly on this team against, Argenti. So, unless he's saying when he initially first cleared it, then yeah, this might be kind of sus for him to say.
with Harmony MC, with Firefly, with Gallagher. Like, you're running two perfect teams.
Firefly makes this.
Your Firefly just hit for 576,000 damage. He has a free-to-play account? That's not the clear he's talking about. Because he's referring to his main account. He even said he's referring to his main account, you dumb fucks. Lamau, bro, listen, you can do it on free-to-play too. Actively lying in your video. Not a good look. Not a good look, man. Not a good look. And I would hardly describe a Firefly with 3.1 thousand HP hitting for 576,000 damage as hardly built. And why do I have a feeling if you were to go into the builds of these characters that a lot of them might have their signature light cone? I am very curious to know the light cone on your Ruan Mei. I am very, very, very curious about that. Do you have the signature light cone on your Ruan Mei? And what Eidolon level is your Acheron? I am very curious. I wonder if any of that is shown. Are these E0 units? I am very, very, very curious. Acheron is E1. Oh! So if you can do it with the best characters in the game at above E0, then everybody should be able to do it when you're playing with absolute perfect meta teams.
But here's the thing. And this is what I would argue against Tectone with. And don't get me wrong, yes, obviously, no brainer, the more perfect your team is, the more built your team is, the more synergy your team has, the more it is to beat whatever the content is. But the thing is, and Tectone, I believe if he remembers correctly, before he became a light spender and started relying on the blessings of the gym gods, he was free to play. And if Tectone remembers perfectly, when he was free to play, he was able to beat all the content in the game. And relatively easy. The only time I ever seen him have to reset was maybe once, if not twice. And twice was rare. But he was still able to beat the content with relative ease. Same thing from MTash. Before MTash became a light spender, he was able to beat the content in the game as a free-to-play relatively easy. Now, granted, they had all the time in the world to do this because they're content creators, but their history shows that a free-to-play player will be able to do this. The only thing that you have to keep in mind as a free-to-play player is that you have to be more conservative with your resources. If you think that a character coming down the road is going to be more advantageous towards your account and is going to be kind of like a, oh shit, I really need to pull this character, then pull that character. For example, Firefly with Super Break is OP as shit. And then look down the road. Do you think the next characters are going to be characters that you need on your account? If not, this is a skip. Therefore, you'll be able to save up your resources. That is the thing that a free-to-play player has to constantly keep in mind. when we're talking about free-to-play players, their mindset is to be resource managers. They have to be more stingy about how they go about spending their stuff. I just noticed Tectone's face. That is so funny. But one thing that I want to kind of highlight, and this is going to be one of the things that I don't think Tectone understands, and I'm just going to show this as a way to kind of give you guys an understanding of my account. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things that I'm about to show you that basically scream, this dude has some things kind of min-maxed. Yes, I do. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to use Sushong, who is going to be running Return to Darkness, level 70, S3. Our relics are Kingdom of Banditry, Thief of Shooting Meteor. My Harmony MC, who is using Memories of the Past, who is running Kingdom of Banditry, Master of Dream Machinations. My Ruan Mei, who is level 80, who is running a level 70 Past Self and Mirror. Yes, I'm using her fucking 5-star light cone. Don't shoot me. Relics, Land of Dreams, Master of Dreams, Machinations, yada yada yada. And Gallagher, level 80, What is Real, Broken Keel, Thief of Shooting Meteor. I'm actually trying to work on replacing this, but the effect resistance is nice. Why am I showing you all this? Well, I want to show you that you can beat the second half of this Apocalyptic Shadow without Firefly as a light spender account. And if a light spender can do it, more than likely a free-to-play player is going to be able to do it. Now, I will go ahead and disclose, yes, before I went to the second half, I did use Acheron, Black Swan, Kafka, and Adventurine on the first half of Cocolia, just to go ahead and get through it, because the reason why is because Argenti is basically where you're going to be using Firefly. Because that is basically like a give me for Firefly. Alright.
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
Here we go. Bam. Go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and attack Argenti just to reduce his attack.
The mood is set. Let the show begin. Let me through.
Here we go.
Take this. Shape of rise, Venus.
Boom.
Want to see what I can do?
And the best thing about Sushong, and even though she is kind of a dollar store boot hill, is that if you set up her combos perfectly, you can have her attack 3 times in a row. And that's the one thing that I actually like about Sushong more than, let's say, Sela, is because Sela's reliant on getting kills. Sushong is just reliant on popping off and hitting opponents.
Let me through.
And here we go.
Behold, this symbol of pure.
Now, obviously, if we were using Firefly, she would just be blasting everything away with AoE. So, but when we're dealing with Sushong here, it's more of a reliance on just being able to attack particular enemies just to break them. You got to literally divide up how you are attacking with your characters. Bam. And here we go. Sushong goes again. And then attacks again.
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
Nice second, my friends.
Here we go.
Indulge yourselves.
And our Argenti's are pretty much going to be done here. And here we go. Gonna go with the combo with Su Shang.
Take your positions.
And then pretty much it's gonna be done with Harmony Trailblazer. Now going into the next phase.
There's more to life.
This one's a little bit more tougher, just because I just did not have enough time between when he starts this attack to when he finishes off the attack. If I was using Firefly, this would be so fucking easy. And now we're going to start focusing on Argenti, because the Ice Shield one is not worth going after, since we only have Ruan Mei, who's an Ice character.
Existence is unity.
Yep, here we go.
Dreams do come true. The mood is set. Let the show begin.
Here we go. I think Gallagher should get it.
Value, I suppose.
Yeah, here we go. Now that I'm gonna pretty much destroy it. Argenti's pretty much gonna be done here. And then I'm gonna do a pretty much a big combo with Gallagher. Enhanced basic attack. Gonna go with alt. Boom. And gonna alt with Su Shang.
Let's improvise.
And it's over. It's over. Yep. So as you guys can see here, you can beat Argenti without Firefly. You can 100% get all 3 stars. Like I said, full disclosure, I did use a really good team with Cocolia because I just wanted to highlight the Argenti side. The Argenti side is pretty much designed for Firefly, so I wanted to highlight that side. And another big disclosure I want to give is, yes, my Gallagher's E6, Harmony Trailblazer is E6, but granted, you as well, a free-to-play player or a light spender player, it doesn't matter. Everyone will be able to E6 Harmony Trailblazer, and Su Shang has been in the game long enough that everyone should have a E6 Su Shang. But that is what I wanted to show, is that you do not need Firefly to beat the Argenti side of Apocalyptic Shadow. You can do it easily with Su Shang. You don't even need boot heal. I just literally beat Apocalyptic Shadow with dollar store boot heal in Su Shang.
Yeah, you're right. Why don't I just spend additional resources to build a Gallagher? Oh yeah, because I can't. Because you have to build so many fucking characters in this game. I'm trying to just settle with 3 sustains, but now maybe I even need a fucking 4th. And that's the whole reason that I'm talking about, is now you need so much account flexibility, it is going to become more difficult to get into this game.
And that is true. You will need like a couple sustains. You will need some eruditions. You will need some hunts. You will need some, hell, you'll definitely need some destruction characters. And you'll probably need a couple of preservation characters. But that is just the flexibility of team building. And that is what Honkai Star Rail is based around, is team building.
Would like to put this in 4K. Legion's just straight up fucking lied. For fun. Lied for fun. So let's just keep it a buck. Lied not once but twice. Said no Kafka, there was a Kafka. Said a barely built Firefly, there was a Firefly. Legion.
And I will say that is not a good look that he says earlier in the video that he didn't have these characters. But I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that he was talking about a different run. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to cast any stones because I don't know.
Why the fuck did you make this video? Why are you making me do this to you, bro? My free-to-play account doesn't have a Kafka? Yeah, but that's not the clear you were talking about. So, what's about? Oh, yeah, dude, I don't have every character in the game on my other one. Like, what? I'll do it next stream and send the clip. Yeah, but the thing is, you still lied, though. You still lied. You did still lie. So, that being said, get a fire extinguisher because some people's pants are on fire. Let's continue.
Was able to auto it.
But yeah, I would love to see you. I would love to see you clear it with max stars on your free-to-play account. Send a clip. And I want to see you do it in one clear, right? Because I'm letting you know, for a free-to-play casual perspective, people don't want to do this shit 18 fucking times. I'm sure, and yeah, I want to see you auto this shit on your free-to-play account because free-to-play casuals don't want to do that. Okay? Now, I'm also in agreement with you where I think free-to-play players also shouldn't expect to clear everything unless they're playing every single fucking day.
And that's the perspective that I have, is that when you are free to play, you have to have it in your head that you are purposely putting yourself at a disadvantage. And that's why, and I'm not trying to shit on free-to-play players, but when you go into a game that is a gacha game, and you were going into it with the mentality of being a free-to-play player, you're at a disadvantage, you are going to have to resource manage. So you have to be more careful and more precise on how you spend your resources. You have to do your research on characters coming out down the road and kind of weigh the pros and cons on if you should pull for them or not. For example, if you, like in my perspective, when I saw Argenti and Huahua coming out during the Halloween spooky event, I basically said to myself, nah, I'm not pulling for either of these. I'm going to save. And good thing I did, because Ruan Mei was coming out. I saved everything for Ruan Mei. Why? Because I knew Argenti wasn't going to be that much of a game breaker. I knew Huahua was not going to be much of a character that I need on my account because I already have Luocha and Fushuan. And then, when I look at what Ruan Mei brought to the table, which is one of the greatest amplifiers, buffers, and even incorporated really great mechanics of break effect, hell yeah. And then you see later on, you see Acheron come out. Acheron is a meta-defining DPS. Firefly comes out. Firefly is a meta-defining DPS. These are the types of characters a free-to-play player has to definitely look out for when they're resource managing and be able to spot the characters that aren't going to make much of a difference on their account.
That's totally fine. That's absolutely totally fine.
I am not a whale by any means.
You are a whale. You are, in fact, a whale. You are coping. You are 1,000,000% a whale.
Do I log in and play the game every day? Yes. Do I max refresh? No, I do not. I think
I bet you have max refreshed before.
Did that for like a week or two when the game first came out, and
there it is.
Ever since
well, yeah,
then,
but he already said that.
I haven't done. I did do it day 1 and day 2 of Firefly coming out.
There it is.
Because I had such shit luck with relics that I was like, bro, I want to use her, and I tried farming more, and.
But yes, but those things that you just said right there are basically the telltale signs of a whale. If you are like, oh my god, my relic luck is right now is going to dog shit. You know what? Refresh.
Spoiler alert, I wasted all that, jade refreshing and didn't get shit. So literally not a single good piece, not even one that was worth it.
You said Genshin shit because it's too easy now. Now you want HSR to be easy. Shit doesn't make sense. No, okay? So let me explain what I'm saying here. Let me explain to you the difference in what I was saying, okay? So for Genshin Impact, there's a lot more ways to play to where you can make up the difference in your ability and your account. There's a open, active combat game.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do in Honkai Star Rail to raise the difference in your ability and also not be a victim of RNG and infinite repeats until you do get lucky, right? So once again, same thing with Wuthering Waves. When there's less of an opportunity to make the difference between a good player and a bad player, be able to make up for their difference in ability, that's when the game state becomes very frustrating because now you're just a slave to RNG. AKA skill ceiling is low, yeah.
The damn.
And if the skill ceiling is low, the meta is not really much of an issue. That's why everyone has been kind of shitting on Genshin for so long lately, is because there hasn't been anything worth grinding out for in Genshin other than Spiral Abyss. But Spiral Abyss has gotten to the point where it is pretty easy to beat. And that's why, like, artifacts just grinding out levels for weapons and characters is starting to mean less and less, because who cares? There's nothing challenging in the game. And that's why Tectone brought up the point, and the person in his chat brought up the point that the skill ceiling is low, therefore no reason really to care. Whereas in Star Rail, the skill ceiling is a little bit higher, so there is more of a reason to kind of worry about meta. And that's why they're bringing up this whole discussion to begin with, is because the game is getting a little bit more harder and more challenging for free-to-play players, but I think a more wise free-to-play player would be able to circumvent this by just applying more logic. And that's where I am kind of arguing against Tectone, is saying a free-to-play player will have to apply more logic when going about resource management.
And then even salvaging that shit and trying to craft one still didn't get anything worth a damn. So trust me, it's not just free to play that are dealing with that. You know, people that spend money also are dealing with that. And I was able to, I did it on my stream. I was literally editing a video while I had that shit autoing on the stream and talking to chat. Like, so is it revolved around new characters? Yes, but that's like how they incentivize people to pull on these new characters.
Yeah.
And it makes the game more fun, but it's...
No, you're just wrong. And let me explain to you why you're wrong. It's okay to make the new character good. It's not okay to say, hey, the new Memory of Chaos and the new boss mode is going to have a very specific buff that only this new character can utilize effectively. Why don't we just make them good and have the buff be different and have it much more universal than just say, oh, here's the Firefly buff? Because it may...
Well, yes, in a perfect world, that would be great. But you and I and everyone else know, Tectone, that Hoyoverse is not going to do that. They haven't been doing that in a very long ass time. Hell, I remember back when Kazuha first came out in Genshin Impact, and Floor 11 had this insane anemo damage buff. And we all knew why that insane anemo damage buff was there on Floor 11. It was to incentivize people to pull for Kazuha. And Hoyoverse has been doing that for such a long time, and that's why I brought up Kazuha, because Kazuha was like 3 years ago in Genshin Impact. This is how they incentivize players. And don't get me wrong, I would hear out and 100% understand the argument of, well, it's that just because it's basically become a norm doesn't mean it's right, and I agree. It's not right because it is manipulative. It is 100% a manipulative tactic by Hoyoverse to make us want to pull for these characters. But the problem is that it's not going to change, even though it is a very manipulative tactic. It's always going to be there. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, for fuck's sake, every time we've bitched at Hoyoverse about something, look at the Genshin boycott from a while back ago. We bitch and we complain and nothing happens.
Makes no fucking sense. You know it as well. And when did that happen? Okay, let's just pull it up. You are lying. Okay? How? Hold up. You are lying. How? Look at how good the 4 stars perform. Okay, now let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question here, okay? I'm gonna break it down for you here. How does this website get their information? It's user submitted, right? Now let me ask you a question. Do you think a free-to-play casual player is going to go to this website and submit their information? Or do you think players who are a little bit more serious would do this shit? Yes,
Fair.
from 1
That's
million
fair.
players. So I want you to read this right here. Help us make the analytics better. You just need to share your UID to help us. It's so simple. Okay? So first of all, this isn't from 1 million players. This is from 6,400 or 6,541 are self-reported players.
That's far off from a million.
8,103 are from random UIDs that we scanned. Okay? So it's not 1 million.
No, it's nowhere near.
14,000. And a heavy part of this sample size that you can see right here are people who actively wanted to showcase what it is that they are using. Okay? And I want to ask you a question. Do you think those people are free to play and casual? No. That's why this take is referring to only free to play casual players. They scanned 1 million, but only 14K cleared. I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. Okay? But let's just make that very clear. You are arguing shit that no one is talking about. And that, it said it on the screen, Lamau. We scanned 1 million accounts in EU, NA, and Asia regions. Out of those, 8,103 cleared Apocalyptic Shadow. 5,800 cleared Apocalyptic Shadow 4. Less than 1% of players cleared this shit on Apocalyptic Shadow 4. This also applies to MOC. So out of curiosity, after this statistic, does anybody still think that I'm wrong? Don't we?
All right. I think I want to read that again. We scanned 1 million accounts in EU, NA, and Asia regions, and out of those, 8,103 cleared Apocalyptic Shadow 1, and then 5,809 cleared Apocalyptic Shadow 4, and were included in our statistics. I don't understand how players can be that. I literally earlier in this video showed you how you could beat it with Su Shang. I showed you how you could beat it with Su Shang, a free character in Harmony MC, and Gallagher. Yes, Ruan Mei is kind of up there in kind of premium character. I understand. But, come on. Oh my god. Alright.
We think it's a little bit difficult. Don't we think it's a little bit fucking difficult? Because this proof that you just sent me to show me that I'm wrong just proved me right. So, thank you for the proof for proving me right. Let's keep going.
Still doable with the other characters. You just have to build, a little bit differently and strategize around team building your characters to do that.
Or you don't get max rewards.
You don't need max rewards as a free to play.
Okay. I've already said that.
Is this am I crazy? Being a free to play, you should not expect to be able to get all 780, whatever it is, Stellar Jade.
You shouldn't expect to get all that stuff until you've invested more into your account. And the thing is, and this is kind of like where it works into a free-to-play player's account's favor, is that when you are doing resource management, you are obviously going to be kind of limited on characters and stuff that you can have, obviously because you're limited on Jades. But what you can do over a course of time is be able to invest in the amount of characters that you have currently, and the light cones in this case that you currently have.
I don't know who you're arguing with. Once again, this is a matter of comprehension skills, right? We're not arguing this, right? So it's all good. Okay?
If you missed out on the last stage, whoop the fucking do, you missed out on 60 Jade. That's like complaining in a PvP gacha that, I'm not top 100, I'm not top 10, so I'm not gonna be able to get the max fucking gems.
Legions, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of embarrassing how much you're misunderstanding this point. And I really don't want to bury you here. But you asked me to react to this. But like these points that you're arguing, like, bro, we agree on this. I don't think free-to-play players need all rewards. I think that's all good, right? But once again, like I even pulling up my video, pretending that I'm arguing something that didn't happen. And I understand that you might have done that for a clickbait purpose. But in reality, this things that you're arguing, I don't know why you have me pulled up because I'm not saying the things that you think that I'm saying. So I think a better thing would have done is to actually pull up someone who is saying those things, because you have a guy who's agreeing with you and you're saying this guy's wrong.
From being top 10 because I'm top 100,000. Like, what do you mean, bro? Like,
Yeah.
This is how they fund their game. This is how, and I know he knows this. So I'm
Exactly, right?
just like, bro played Summoner Wars. Like, I'm confused why he has this shit take.
Because I didn't have the take in Legion. You're just dumb. That's what happened here, is that you just realized you're dumb and you don't know what the video you're watching is saying. I'm just keeping a buck, bro. Like, you just don't know what the video's saying. Let's continue, because this happened again for Hexjuice. And I wanted to talk about this too, because I don't think you understood what she was saying either. Right? So let's go into it.
Okay.
Let's go into this again. Okay, because this is wild. Okay? Now listen. Hey, you said you would be blunt, right? You said you'd be blunt, so I'm gonna be blunt with you. I'm gonna be real, man. This was a L fucking take. Because this shit is like, nobody on the screen is saying what you think is that they're saying. Let's keep going here. All right, let's see the problem with Hexjuice here. Guys, am I crazy here? How do you guys feel so far, guys? How do you guys feel? Bro, if you say Hex take was good, I'm gonna just not even care. All right, let's see what Hex said.
Well, it's right there.
For this, I have not looked into this. I saw her and Lee just going back and forth, and I'm like, oh god, the kids are fighting. All right, let's keep going here. Here we go. I think that Star Rail is going to suffer because it doesn't appeal well to new players. How do you get new players into a turn-based game with a...
So, but this, we're throwing free-to-play players to the side, and we're going to focus now on new players. And I did see this tweet, but I'm going to hold off until I hear what they say. But now we're focusing in on new players. And this has been something that Hex has been bitching about, and I say that with all the love in my heart. I say that with literally all the love in my heart. This has been something that Hex has been bitching about for a long time. I've even reacted to a video a while back ago that Hex was talking about new players. And this is, like I said, this is something that she has been talking about a lot.
An extreme emphasis on meta play when there are more gameplay-focused games releasing, like Wuwa, Zenless Zone Zero, and Azure Premilia. I think this game has a much more severe issue with veteran players rather than new players. Due to the fact that if you're a new player and you just get the new unit, it's most likely going to be the best unit. I actually think it heavily incentivizes new players to get into it by just pulling the new best character. How do you get new players into turn-based game with an extreme emphasis on meta play when there are more gameplay-focused games releasing like Wuwa, Zenless Zone Zero, and Azure Premilia? Because some people just prefer turn-based RPGs. Yeah, and
That was actually kind of my point. Hold on. So I reacted to Hexjuice's tweet, and this is what I put. I think Star Rail will do fine when it comes to casuals picking it up. It's got cool and appealing characters and a very good story to keep player interest. If we learned anything from Genshin, that's pretty much enough to keep a casual player base. But turn-based RPGs do usually draw in more meta-focused players. And that's kind of what Tectone just said, is that it's a turn-based RPG, so you're only really going to capture the eye of a gamer that likes turn-based RPGs. Look at Pokemon's hardcore base, and you will see some crazy meta-focused players. Why? Because turn-based RPGs are naturally strategic, and meta players love strategy. So I believe the Star Rail team knows this, and that's why the game feels like it leans toward a more meta-focused player. So I think Tectone and I are pretty much on the same boat here when it comes to the mindset of why Star Rail may feel the way it feels.
I think saying, well, these games have better gameplay is a little bit of a bad take, considering that there are people who just like turn-based games. I also don't think there's an extreme emphasis on meta play. I think there's an extreme emphasis on story for this game. Yeah,
I think it's a bit of both. I think the story is really good, and I see it. I see the emphasis on it. But I also see the emphasis on the gameplay. That's why they keep on adding new game modes and expand a little bit on different types of teams. And that's the thing that you got to do when it comes to turn-based RPGs, is you got to add and incorporate different types of strategies. That's why turn-based RPGs, kind of go back to my tweet, really draw in a meta-focused player, because it's strategy. Meta-focused players love strategy. That's why I love Pokemon. That's why I love Fire Emblem. That's why I love card games, because they incorporate strategy.
I don't agree with this either.
Thing that I essentially also wanted to bring up, Hexjuice also
I also think that turn-based games generally play the best on mobile, which is great for casual players.
kind of like
Fair.
regurgitated what. Now, one more thing that I essentially also wanted to bring up, Hexjuice also kind of like regurgitated what Tectone also said. It's pretty
That's
much
not
the
true.
same thing.
No,
No, that's not true. I agree with
no,
Tectone
that's
here.
not what I said. This
And I
is
would
not
defend him.
what I said at all.
A little bit different because it's more targeted towards the newer players. I'm only using this as an example because it's in front of me, and I don't have to go looking for it. But I've also seen so many people, like hell, look at this comment section, my comment section, YouTube videos, Twitch streams, chats. Like, people are all pretty. There are people saying exactly what she's saying and exactly what Tectone's saying, but
Not what I'm saying.
No,
I explained.
that is 100% not what he's saying. Tectone's emphasis is more on free-to-play players, whereas Hexjuice's mindset is more so on new players. But also, Tectone is just more worried about the meta, whereas Hex is more focused on getting newer players into the game. It's honestly a very different mindset.
Already so many times. I feel like it's such a shit take, and I absolutely love the both of them, right? But I'm not going to hold back just because I'm friends with them. If I disagree, I'm just going to disagree. So what Hexjuice said, and a lot of people kind of also agreed with her in the comments. I think that Honkai Star Rail is going to suffer because it doesn't appeal well to new players. I think that's absolutely not true.
I also agree. I think the new player experience can be good for a heavy emphasis on the story content, and usually Honkai Star Rail, because power creep is good for new players. It is, but it's very frustrating for veteran players.
Especially if you're starting as a new player right now, you're getting all this free shit. You have all this free content to do to farm Jade. All the events are permanent. You can go back and do the events. You get a bunch of free 4-stars from those events. So many free 4-stars, free 4-star light cones, right? You get your selector from the
Holy fuck, I'm talking about getting people into HSR, installing HSR. Okay. I'm asking about market appeal, not game state. So what is your exact question? My point is about how to get new players into HSR. It's fucking unrelated. Okay, then I think you did a bad job of presenting this tweet, because what you're saying right here in this context, and this is a tweet, this isn't a clip on a video, this is what you tweeted.
Okay, let me read her chat log. Mentioning meta is not the same thing as being about meta. Very, very loose terminology. I'm asking about market appeal, not game state. My point is about how to get new players into HSR. It's fucking unrelated. buck. I'm talking about getting people into HSR and installing HSR. Well, the thing is, and I think this really flies over Hex's head, is that we are talking about a turn-based RPG. There, to be frank, turn-based RPGs already lean themselves to a very, very niche audience. And the only people that are going to download turn-based RPGs are people that are already naturally into turn-based RPGs. And in fact, if we were to look at this being a hoyoverse game, it actually has an advantage because it's made by hoyoverse and because of its setting and its storyline and the characters involved. This game already has an advantage just by it being made by hoyoverse and having all the fantastic characters that already come with it. You're not going to... What I'm trying to say is you're going to be at a disadvantage getting a new player if that new player has no interest in turn-based RPGs. But if you can hook a player by just getting them involved in the storyline and the characters, then you may be able to get yourself a core player, a player that might stick around.
Which is, I think that Honkai Star Rail is going to suffer because it doesn't appeal well to new players. And then you say, how do you get new players into a turn-based game with an extreme emphasis on meta play when there are more gameplay-focused games releasing like Woo-Wah, ZZZ, and Azure Familia? And this is your own tweet. This isn't an out-of-context tweet. That doesn't exist. Right? We're just answering what you've put here. So what do you think that we're misunderstanding here? Yes, and my question is very clear when you read it like that. Please read my reply. Okay, sure. How do you get new players into this turn-based game with an extreme emphasis on meta play? Hex, you would understand that this is just wrong, right? I just want to make sure that like this just doesn't exist. All right, when there are more gameplay-focused games like Woo-Wah, ZZZ, Azure Familia, what part is wrong? The Honkai Star Rail having an extreme emphasis. You said an extreme emphasis on meta play. I think this is wrong. I feel like the majority of game modes are just like, you just kind of just play it and you win. There's a couple.
And for the most part, that is going to be it. The only time that you're going to have to actually kind of build your team in a way where you are playing the meta is when you're playing MOC and getting up to the higher floors, when you're playing pure fiction and you're getting into the higher floors, yada, 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 same old shit. But if you are just playing the story and just like turning your brain off and grinding just the stuff that you need to build your characters, there's not going to be much of a challenge. And this is where Hex's whole thing falls apart, is when she says getting new players into a turn-based game with extreme emphasis on meta, when Tectone is 100% right. There is not an extreme emphasis on meta unless you're playing harder content. And the only players that are going to be playing that harder content is players that actually want to focus on meta.
Couple of game modes that have, what you would consider an extreme emphasis, but I would argue that Honkai Star Rail is much more of a story-based game. Yeah, let's keep going here. Muting this thread because it's giving me scarlet brain rot. Thank you to all those I actually gave insight to the question I asked. What I learned, Hoyo exceeds at getting new players via word of mouth by stellar marketing, for sure. The story will appeal to some, and the unobtrusive nature of a mobile turn-based game will appeal to others. Yeah, of course. Do I think this is necessarily enough to keep the game's current level of success long-term? Maybe because it's Hoyo, yeah, and they're very good at keeping people around their games. I still think it's less appealing to gamers outside of gacha mobile games. But why does that matter? Why would it matter if a gamer outside of the gacha mobile game scene would want to play it or not? Because like they're not. That's what the game is, right? Like I wouldn't care if a guy who doesn't like burgers doesn't come to my burger restaurant. Right, I feel like people make burger restaurants to eat burgers. And other gachas that come out appeal better to gamers in general, might take up more time on market share. I think that if people play Pokemon, they'll have more appeal to play Honkai Star Rail.
And there we go. Going right back to my tweets. A player that wants to play a turn-based RPG will play a turn-based RPG. A player who plays Pokemon, a player who more than likely plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Or some other card game, a player that plays Fire Emblem games, a player that likes like old school Final Fantasy games, will want to play Honkai Star Rail.
I feel like if people play Devil May Cry and Dark Souls, it might have more appeal to play Wuthering Waves. I don't really think one necessarily does a better job than the other one. For the rest, as always, Twitch is the only place where articulated sentence will still get misinterpreted. Okay, the game is fine. You're basically saying, why is Star Rail turn-based instead of, like, insert game other genre? I didn't say that at all. Well, you did say that. How do you get new players into a turn-based game with an extreme emphasis on meta play when there are more gameplay-focused games releasing like Woo-Wah, ZZZ, and Azure Familia? A question that shockingly few people have bothered to even attempt to interact with. Well, I hope I've attempted to interact with all of them. But, yeah. I feel like people who like turn-based games will want to play a turn-based game. You compare a turn-based game to action RPGs. Because, and I know that reading and comprehending is very, very hard, this is a post about overall market appeal. HSR competes in the market with action RPGs. I think that what you should have said was, I would like to talk about marketing appeal. And then go into marketing appeal. Right? I don't think that you understand that this doesn't read like that. You literally wrote a tweet in a way that seemed like there's a lot of implication. You're saying that our reading comprehension skills is the problem. No, if you weren't making those implications, then you're right. Then your writing is the problem. I decided to make up a random unrelated interpretation of clearly written statement. Got mad about it. I'm going to blame the person who posed it with the excuse that my pretended interpretation was their fault due to the implication that there wasn't there in the first place. I am right because I have a big ego and everyone else is wrong. What do you mean it doesn't appeal to new players? Any team can clear the story and every even event content, unless you're talking about MOC, PF, and EDC. They get you able to feel for content, but you can get close. Put 60 more gen for 2 weeks into your account anyways, true. Why is it so incredibly difficult for 8-star players to not talk about meta? I mentioned meta as a part of why is it more niche than other gotchas. The question is how to appeal to new players and compete with less niche.
This is literally, and I feel like I've probably beat this horse to death now, but this is literally Hex not understanding. And this goes back to what I said originally about how I feel like some things just fly over Hex's head. This is literally Hex not understanding a turn-based RPG when it comes to its appeal to a player base overall.
Niche styles in game long term. Well, I don't think they're trying to, right? Because the whole thing with Honkai Star Rail, and you got to understand this, is that hoyoverse isn't attempting to have mass appeal on one of their games. They're attempting to attack certain niches. They're attempting to attack certain niches. That's why they created the Hoyo game launcher. So that way they can target people in that niche and attack them very aggressively to make a whole universe of games rather than focus on making one game very good. They're attempting to make a whole library of games to play. I'm going to keep it a buck, guys. I think this whole argument's just very fucking stupid. And yet, to be honest, I'm good.
But, yes, I hope that this video actually kind of like really got you guys kind of wondering and thinking about how Star Rail is doing, how Star Rail's meta is doing. Just getting these different opinions and different perspectives. My perspective, Legion's perspective, Tectone's perspective, Hex's perspective, and just having a conversation in general. I hope that maybe I also shed some light based on my perspective on things and kind of showing, and this is always my goal, is to show what a Lightspender account can do truly, looking at you, Legion, but what a Lightspender account can truly do in the game, and also show you guys that yes, meta is a thing. Power creep is 100% a thing going on in Star Rail. But as long as you play your account well and you manage your resources well, you will do fine in Honkai Star Rail. That's my perspective. That's my point of view. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Head down to the comments and let me know what you thought about this whole video. What stood out to you. And with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys later.